Hello and welcome to another episode of Citadel Guard Adventures. This is Beriathan of the Citadel Guard of Gondor. Garalip is saying hello as well. We're back in the town of Hultvís and trying to remember a little bit all the things we were told to do. We got so many quests at the end of last episode. Trying to refresh my memory a little bit. Setting traps, collect fish from the nets, pick berries. Malvang. Well, that in Malvang, that can wait a little bit. Yeah, now that I saw the map, I have a better idea of the state of things. Take a look at this river. It's so beautiful. Wondering though, should I go back to the Bjorninghus and advance the Black Book? Because at this rate I'm not sure when will I get a chance of going back to the Bjorninghus. Alright. Beckberries. It's just that this area, I know there are more quests for that one. You know what? I think I might need to go back to the Bjorninghus just to make sure. The Black Book of Mordor. Yeah, that might be the case. Before I do that, I can still set up some traps around Hultvís. And we'll see where we go from there. So far, so good. And plenty of traps as well. Although, once again, well, it seemed we had already covered the entire area around town, but I'm glad to see these ones were not that hard to find. What else do we have here? Talk to Atta, yeah, that's what we are currently doing, and that's basically it, yes. Seem to be doing good. Let's bring the fish first.
An ill wind troubles the river.
Well, what did you find? You show German the fish you gathered from his nets. Ha! It was just about a day of fishing, I think. I'm sorry to have tasked you with such a small matter, Beriathan, but I deem it most worthwhile, for it eased my mind considerably. I'll see it to myself at dawn on the morrow. Yeah, really short and to the point quest. I have the feeling that would complement maybe, or, well, lead us to that island, but once again, I'm not ready to go there yet. Huh. You've set the traps, have you? Atta's eye is narrow. Indeed, I hunt a creature called the Snatcher. The Snatcher was here long before I was born, and it has never left. It has eluded my people for many years, but still it watches, waiting for me to grow too comfortable in my old age. But I will not let it take me like the others. Many in Hultvís think me mad, but the children believe me. They have heard the old tales from their mothers and fathers, those sinister rhymes that speak of old Madab, a creature who come out of the night to punish children for their misdeeds? Nonsense. But, buried within the fables their parents tell them of Up, there are truths of which I dare not speak. Ask the children of Hultvís about the one called Up. Before the creature came to dwell at the Woodsedge, it first made its home in the ruins of Avabárg. It was long after the Northmen abandoned the old keep, but long ago just the same. Yeah, long before even my grandfather was born. In the depths of Avabárg, the creature hid from the only thing it feared, the light. But in the dark of the night it would creep forth. On some nights, the creature would merely sit atop the walls of Avabárg and peer across the river with its unblinking eyes. On others, it would sneak across the Anduin and, through some devilry, it would conceal itself from sight as it drew near to our villages. My people were taken from their homes, from their beds, and always the trail led to Avabárg. When my ancestors found gnawed bones in the depths of Avabárg, they could no longer deny what we feared. Our people were not only taken, they were devoured. I do not know what changed the mind of the creature, but it came to fear Avabárg and so it abandoned the islet. Yet its foul deeds are not forgotten to the stones of that old keep. The spirits of those who met their ends in Avabárg still linger, and they cannot rest. Please, Beriathan, help them to find peace. Okay, yeah, that seems a little bit better. See, I told you at some point we will get more quests for Avabárg. That's good. Father says if I lie to him, my hair will fall out like Ops did. If I forget to bolt the door, Up might take my little brother. Seems a little extreme. If I don't finish my supper, Mother says I'll end up eating worms and grubs like old Madab. Ah, interesting. Don't leave the shutters unlatched on a cold night. Up might steal your shoes for his scabby feet. Alright, gathering some more clues. Ah, we also have another quest in here.
Before the war, the Vales were peaceful. But that seems long ago.
Would you lend me your ear, Beriathan? I have suffered in silence since the ending of the war, but I cannot bear it any longer. My husband Berimat felt at Avabárg in the final days of the war. We had pushed our foes from the walls of Hultvís to the islet, and victory seemed certain, until Radagast came. Before either of us could lose an arrow at him, that terrible work leapt forth and tore into Beramut's throat. With his last strength, my husband slashed Radagast's flank and lost his entrails. The beast withdrew into the catacombs of Avabárg to die. Or so I thought. But I have seen his eyes glowing in the night. They stare at me from across the waters of Anduin, from Avabárg. You must believe me. I promised Beramut that I would avenge him, but I cannot go back to that place. I cannot face that creature again, and Radagast knows my shame and taunts me with it. I beg you, Beriathan, slay Radagast and put out those terrible eyes. Ah yeah, more quests for Avabárg. The more the merrier. Sorry. Old Madab? I'm too old for that story. Yeah, sure, whatever you say. It's not good to go out after dark. Old Madab will take me. I thought I saw Up's eyes shining in the dark one night, but it was just some fireflies. We're missing one more kid. And, yeah. It's on the upper level, it seems. not through here. Yeah. I just missed this boy. Okay, well, girl, in fact. I don't want to talk about Ab. Mother says it brings bad luck. Calm down. You don't have to talk about him if you don't want to. Just calm down. Do you believe them, Beriathan? If you knew as I do, you would. Well, that's the first part of the quest. The children have told us some interesting tidbits and some clues as well about the Snatcher, this creature that Atta is hunting. And I gotta say, this was also an unexpected resolution. I remember very vividly how this quest chain ends, and I loved it. So I cannot wait for you to see more of it. And yeah, I say let's go to Avabárg right now. We've gotten a couple more quests to explore that place. And it seems there are not many more quests left. Oh, no, please. Don't do this to me. Yeah. Alright, yeah, with this we can cross the river. Actually, through the fort. A little bit better. And from here we'll climb to the islet and Avabárg. And let's see then. What will we find in this place? Ah, here we have the blackberry bushes. Yeah, right. We also need to collect those blackberries, but I don't see. I don't see more blackberries. Not in the big numbers I was hoping. That's the entrance to Avabárg, but let us first collect the berries on the outside. Ah, an elven apartment. Great. Lenkari auri nurari lomi. The days are slow, the nights are deep. Aye, Ioronte avafanya. But lo, comes the dawn without clouds. Once again, I'm not sure if I'm reading this properly. Hope I am, but it still sounds so evocative nonetheless. Loving the place. Well, not the place, loving the lost lore. Come on. Gotta say, I might have grown a little bit too complacent with my allies. I'm not used to seeing my morale drop so low. At least, not with Beriathan. But well, we knew this day was coming. And we also knew it was gonna happen around this level range. 120, 120 something, so in a way I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm not used to to taking so much time fighting. That's not something I've done with Beriathan for such a long time. But it suddenly feels off. Who's attacking me? I didn't see you. Where were you? You weren't there? It's not just that maybe he was camouflaged, he wasn't. But even then, I should have seen the floating name. So I think that's a matter of another of those instances where the enemies don't load properly, but they still attack you, which puts you at a disadvantage. So hopefully we won't find too many more cases of that. Now, what I don't remember is if there are any other deeds related to exploring Avabárg. And just now you're giving me this deed? How many dead do I need to defeat? 40. Well, it's not that much, at least. But it still feels so off every time we are exploring a new area and we got a new Slayer deed when we're basically halfway through. That feels a little bit like cheating on the game's part.
Somewhere yet he lurks and lingers, scrabbling with his scabby fingers, neath forest dark or dusky hill. Old Mad Ub, he hungers still.
Yeah, I also love this too. From what I remember, I'm not sure if I'm right, but I think the Vales was the last region in which we had the Lost Lore pages. I don't remember any more of those. So, well, it's a shame that we haven't gotten any more of those. But what I was trying to say is that as a farewell to the Lost Lore mechanics, maybe these ones in the Vales are not as engaging as some of the others. They are still very enjoyable anyway. But I still think the Lost Lore in Mordor was pretty great. And those are the stories that I remember the most. Especially the ones that talk about the Rings of Men and Sheila. Bathed in shadow, an enormous work rushes forth. Alright, yeah, I wasn't ready to face this boss yet. Maybe I should have waited to replenish some more morale. Oh, come on. As the beast falls defeated, the sunken chambers of Avabárg seem to darken. Huh. Interesting. I wonder then, should I continue exploring Avabárg? I mean, I don't have any more quests. inside Avabárg. So I'm not sure if the remaining quests in here will be auto-bestowed quests, or if we need to advance some of the other quest lines before we can explore the rest of these ruins. Or, which is also another possibility, Avabárg is the location on one of the instances you can do for reputation at the end of the quest lines, when you finish your quests in the Vales, and you will get an instance here in Avabárg. And that one you can fully explore, because yes, as you see here, it seems there's not much else we can do. Shame, I thought there would be some more quests, but okay, wasn't as long as I expected it to be. Should I master in Hultvís? I mean, why not? Once again, making use of the arsenal or all the tools at our disposal. Why not? Let me see these gauntlets that we got. They're okay. But nothing too special. In terms of cosmetics, I didn't even look at the stats. Those are heavy armor, so it's not even worth it for us.
The Vales were peaceful.
Let's see what you have gathered. Garvin takes the handfuls of big berries from you and sets them into a small woven basket. He takes one of the berries and bites into it. A pale pink juice runs down his chin as he grins. This ought to do the trick. I will distill them into a tincture of my own recipe, and I will see that all in need drink of its extract. The Northmen may have abandoned the Vales long ago, but what a great gift they have left for us. That was also very interesting too. Welcome to learn a little bit more about the Northmen later. Still a long ways to go, but we'll do.
Whatever good fortune we had is gone now.
You have done what I could not. I could not bear to look upon that monstrous creature again, but thanks to you, my dear Vermouth is avenged. The creature does not age as men do, Beriathan. As many of my ancestors grew old and died, it only grew more gaunt and wicked. Avabárg remains a place of great sorrow, and I'm grateful you have put the spirits of my ancestors to rest. Atta appears overcome with emotion. May they never be forgotten. Perhaps I misjudged you, Beriathan. Atta shuffles uncomfortably. It is difficult for me to speak of it, but if you wish to hear the tale of the night I met Úbil, I will tell you. Forgive me, Beriathan. After all this time, the memory of that night still pains my heart. Atta grasps loosely at his throat and appears to look through you for a moment. It is not all Madab that the children of Hultvís should fear, but Úbil the Snatcher. Are you prepared to hear my tale?
Úbil the Snatcher. My father, Bjorn, told me of that creature in my youth. He thought it a gangrel beast that crawled from some dark cleft in the night. For many years it crept unseen into the villages of the woodmen and stole away their children to sate its hunger. But when it could hide no longer, the creature fled the Vales of Anduin, never to return.
It was very long ago, Beriathan. The Snatcher had vanished for hundreds of years, and my people had abandoned their vigil. I was a boy then, only days past the start of my 8th year. My sister Amelina was nigh to her 4th, but her birth had taken our mother. If only it had ended there. One night I woke to a great clattering. The shutters were open and Amelina was gone. Matted footprints had been left in Amelina's bed, but no other sign of her remained. After that day, my father rarely spoke. In the mornings, he rose with the sun to search for Amelina, and when darkness fell, he would stand watch at the gates of Hultvís. And so it continued, until one night, not 1 month later, a scream woke all of Hultvís. Úbil the Snatcher had returned. Through my window, I saw the light of countless torches. Even women still in their bedgowns carried them. A mother-child had been snatched. Úbil's wickedness could not go unanswered again. Fearful of the light, the Snatcher screeched and sputtered as my people drove it out of Hultvís. But the Snatcher had claimed another life as it fled. Father was dead. When I learned what had happened, I ran to my father's side. His throat had been torn open, gnawed by the wicked jaws of the Snatcher. I embraced him and wept. I did not understand. The Snatcher had fled in plain sight, and none in Hultvís pursued it. My father was dead, and for what? Sorrow turned to anger, and I ran to the home where my family had once lived. I tore through father's belongings with tears in my eyes, but it was not long before I found his dagger. If revenge was to be taken, I thought, it would have to be by my own hand. With father's dagger in my hand, I crept out of Hultvís into the woods. No one saw me leave. I wandered for what seemed like hours. I should have given up, but I didn't. My thoughts turned to the family I no longer had. I remembered that father had allowed me to accompany him on a hunt not long before Amelina was taken. A hart was grazing in the lowlands, unaware that father's eyes were upon him. Father drew his bow, and though the creature must have sensed its peril, the arrow was loosed. The hart darted, but father's arrow had flown through. It pierced the hart's hind leg, and the beast stumbled. The hart fled as fast as its hooves could bear it, but father carefully followed its uneven, bloody tracks. By the time we came upon it, the hart had collapsed in pain. Father slew it that its suffering might be ended, but as my thoughts returned to that dreary night, I felt no such duty. In the pouring rain, I found the Snatcher's mud-slicked footprints. With as much haste as I could muster, I followed them westward towards the cliffs overlooking the Anduin. At the Woodsedge, I found Úbil the Snatcher. Tales of old, it was said that Úbil had thin, black hair and often wore clothing it had stolen from the whole woodland. The pallid creature I saw before me bore little resemblance to the Úbil of old, but I knew it could be no other. I trembled into the cold rain, but there was no turning back. Father had to be avenged. What would have father thought of me? What a fool I had been. I was no practiced warrior, no hunter of beasts. I was a boy swinging a dagger in the rain. The Snatcher twisted and slithered away from me like some sort of demon serpent. It cackled and splattered at me, and with a single lunge, it wrested the dagger from my hand. A cruel delight gleamed in the Snatcher's eyes as it flung father's dagger into the Anduin, but there was no time to mourn its loss. The Snatcher bared its teeth with a dreadful, rotten grin. I did not wait for Úbil to strike again. I ran as fast as I could. Úbil the Snatcher chased me into the darkness. I ran and I ran and I ran. I darted behind bushes, leapt over fallen trunks and branches, and cast down anything that might slow the Snatcher's pursuit. My throat was raw and my legs burned, but it did not matter. I knew if I gave in, if I dared to grow weary, the Snatcher would kill me. But what if it did? Would I see Amelina again? And what of mother and father? What would one more moment of pain in my life be worth? The Snatcher suddenly stopped. For a moment it stood still as if transfixed by an ancient spirit, but then it began to speak. What a horrible voice it had. It choked between its words, but it seemed to be speaking to someone. As I watched it carry on heated conversation, my breath returned to me. I began to hope that it had forgotten its pursuit. As if in answer, the Snatcher caught sight of my gaze. I flew into a frenzy, shrieking and thrashing madly at whatever ancient spirit stood before it. Úbil scrumped toward me with a hunger in its eyes. Without a thought, I turned and ran. My legs gave out beneath me as I ran. It was over, I thought. I shut my eyes. With my eyes shut, I felt the Snatcher's breath upon me. The Snatcher wrapped its fingers around my neck, but all of a sudden, I heard a great roar. It was Beorn. Fearing the Skin Changer's wrath, the Snatcher loosed his grip and fled, cursing, into the woods. Oh, come on. How cool was this story? I didn't remember the last part, but that only makes it even better. I thought I was dead. When I opened my eyes, I saw the Skin Changer Beorn standing above me. It was a trick of the mind, some dying fantasy, I thought. But it wasn't. Beorn lifted me from the ground and held me in his arms. He tore some clothes from his own breasts, wrapped me in it, and he delivered me to Hultvís. Without a word, Beorn left. I never saw him again. That is all there is to tell. Atta falls silent. Many years later, I learned that Beorn had died. It was said that the Snatcher was driven off by his kin, but the Snatcher lives longer than men, longer even than those with a gift of Beorn. If ever I dare to leave Hultvís, how can I be certain that Úbil does not still lie in wait for me? Don't you understand, Beriathan? I beg you. Do not make me tell it again. You try to explain that Atta's description of Úbil the Snatcher bears a striking resemblance to how you might have described Gollum. You attempt to assure Atta that the creature is gone and will trouble him no longer, but Atta waves his hand and begins to talk over you. No. Even if Úbil has left the Vales, it will not be long before he returns. But if he is truly gone from the Vales, we might be able to keep him out for good. Some of the totems carved by my people are thought to repel evil spirits and demons. If you were to set them throughout Woodsedge, it might keep Úbil from ever returning to the Woodsedge. And one must be set at the Sorrowwell. There is a curse upon that place, but I will speak no more of it. Please, Beriathan, do this for me, and perhaps then I might believe that Úbil is truly gone. Alright. There we have it, the quest. I hope you found it as satisfying as I did the first time I did it. And looking back, and now that I'm replaying through the Vales of Anduin, and doing all the quests and seeing how they tie together, the clues were all over. If you listen to the last lore of Old Madab, you will see how Gollum kind of became a legend, and everything that Atta said was also pointing towards Gollum. And then of course we have the few references to hobbits that we've gotten in the area, plus the abandoned hobbit village that we will visit very soon, plus, well, was also in the books that Gandalf said that Gollum and the hobbits had some common ancestors from the Vales, so of course it all tied up, and in hindsight it's easy to see the devs were never going to let that opportunity pass of doing something else with Gollum in this area. I'm very glad they did, and I also enjoy a lot the way in which they were able to bring Gollum back even though Gollum is already dead. So yeah, this was one of the most surprising moments I experienced the first time I went here to the Vales of Anduin. And once again, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I might be wrong, but I don't see a way in which the devs could bring Gollum back after this one. Unless we have some other sort of jump in time, like what happens with Mordor Besieged and the Battle of Atta Úbil. But even if we get another area like that one, I don't think we'll get Gollum back. It's the truth of it. I don't see how they could include Gollum in any other story here. Alright. Now we also gotta go to the old fort. Well, we're almost there, basically. And that, combined with the time that we have left on today's episode, I think this is a good a moment as any to go back to the Bjorning Hoos, bring the news to Beorn, and stop in the Carrock along the way so that we can complete the deed. Otherwise, I'm not sure when will we get the opportunity of doing that again. So let us do it. Let us do it today. Here we will set another totem. And yeah, it's a very nice totem. Once again, we can still use this flat stone, and at some point I will remember what to do with it, or well, the game will take us there. So for the time being, I'm trying not to think too much about it. So yeah, let us go back to the Carrock and then the Bjorning Hoos. And once again, missing that location for the deed. I don't know how that happened. I have no idea. Once again, one of those cases in which you miss it for just a couple steps, it seems. We were already at the Carrock. And again, any excuse to go back to the Carrock is a good one, but I would have been better if I had gotten credit for it first time I visited the Carrock. It doesn't have the same impact going back just for the deed, you know, instead of going there for your other quests and then getting the deed and sort of tying your own adventure with Bilbo's adventure. You can still do that, of course, but I think that effect is more noticeable when you completed it alongside your quests. So it's a shame it didn't happen. Now, where exactly is... I always meant to see you all safe over these mountains, said Gandalf. Yeah, it was just... It was just a couple steps. I mean, it was this rock? and we crossed through this rock. That you should provide that a little bit more leeway for these kind of things. God, anyway, we completed the deed. We got some points, marks, gold marks, the title, the virtue XP, the reputation. Title, you have followed the path of Thorin and company. Once again. Through Mirkwood, well, Erin Lasgalen, and now through the Vales. That's great. Now we also have the meta deed. Oh my god, there is a treasure seeker in the Vales. I didn't remember there was a treasure seeker deed. And again, we're halfway through the Vales, and I haven't found a single treasure chest. Oh god. As fun as they are to find, this is one design choice I'm glad hasn't come back in other areas, or at least is not as prominent as it was during the Gondor days. But there are areas that still have treasure caches, and even more than treasure caches. They have the regular treasure and the rare chests, like what happened in Mordor, but somehow that feels different. I think it's the fact that the rare chests are not as hard to find, so you still feel like you are making good progress finding chests, even though they are two different set of chests. Maybe that's the reason why.
Did you succeed at those two purposes?
I gave you two purposes, Beriathan: to bring back the collected tools from Bekbar and to aid my neighbors at the woodman village of Hultvís. Have you done this? You give Grimbeorn the pouch of money and he weighs it in his hand. We keep safe the road through the mountains and across the old fort, and in return for that safety we ask these coins from those who pass. It is a reasonable price, but this pouch feels light in my hand. Are there so few travelers in the Vales today, even with the end of the war? War is never truly ended, is it? The wizard is inside the lodge, peering at the book he brought. Speak to him. Perhaps he is ready to leave. Oh, you are so eager for us to leave.
I have been studying the Black Book, but it resists my attempts to dissolve its mysteries.
A wizard does not become frustrated, but I do not deny that my patience is tested. Perhaps I could use some air, Beriathan.
I have found that walking can often be the best way to banish troubling distractions.
When I return from such a diversion, my thoughts are clear and my mind ready to resolve the problem that had stymied me. It is a habit I picked up from Bilbo, I believe, for his walking stick was rarely at rest and he thoroughly enjoyed walking the hills and lanes of the Shire. Elrond himself would have his hands full keeping the old hobbit from exploring in Ladris on a sunny day, were he not? Gandalf strays away and smiles at you mysteriously. But I get ahead of myself, Beriathan. Do you also take enjoyment from strolling in the country? The Gladden fields are to the south, and it has been some time since there I walked. That is a place of great import, as I am sure you know, for it was there that the ring lay hidden for many long years. Meet me on the road just north of Duskenvale, near the Gladden fields, and I will tell you what the wise can say of the ring's first great loss. It is gone now, and for good, but the tale is interesting, and I will appreciate the diversion. But let it not be said that we waste the hours in idleness, Beriathan. Before we speak of the distant past, I ask that you slay orcs and half-orcs that presently haunt the Gladden fields. It will be a comfort to the people who dwell in the Vales, for such creatures ever pose a threat. Alright. So, yeah, Gandalf has already sent us to the Gladden fields, but all our other quests still don't take us there. So I think I'm gonna hold on a little bit before I go to the Gladden fields. Yeah, I remember now. Yes, I'm gonna I'm gonna advance some of the other quests first before going to the Gladian Fields, but it's good to advance the quest so that if and when I get side quests to visit the Gladian Fields, I will be ready for it, instead of having to go back to the Bjorninghuis just to pick the Black Book. So that's why I decided to go back now, even though we could have waited a little bit longer, but we'll keep moving south. And I don't remember too well what happens after you leave Hultvís, so I much rather not risk it. That's one totem. And now we go to the Den of the Hultvís, which is the village of Malbank, where we also have a couple more quests that we can advance. And of course after that we'll go back to Hultvís, but who knows if that will be the end of it. It's also very weird that this area is populated with horns, and yet we haven't gotten a quest to fight horns. What does that mean? Not eat for the horns either. Or I don't see. Yeah, here you are. Is this a place? Malbank? Ah, Den of the Hultvís. Yeah, this is a place, but it's not the place we were looking for. It's a shame we cannot explore this. It would be very nice to see how different were these hobbit settlements in comparison to the Shire. But anyway, well, hopefully at some point we'll get to see more of those ancient hobbits. Because yes, the books also mention how the holes of those early hobbits were, yeah, mere holes in the ground, not the elaborate caves that the hobbits of the Shire built. Oh, come on. What else do I need to do in Malbank? Search the burnt buildings. Okay. Like this one. Brushwood has begun to overtake the charred remains of this dwelling, leaving little else behind. The blackened, brittle timbers of this dwelling creak in the breeze, but it is empty. Oh, jeez. There we go. A small zinc-strong box lies in the corner of this burnt building. Ah, for God's sake. The old strongbox has been broken apart and the strongbox contents have been plundered. A number of fresh footprints have been left in the burnt dwellings. The small and even footprints are unlike those of the woodmen or Bjornings. Huh, okay. We're just missing one more totem before going back to Hultvís. Let us do that really quick. The Sorrow Well. Which one is the Sorrow Well? It doesn't ring a bell. And before I forget, let me double check all these things we got. What about these pants? No, I don't think so. Enhancement runes. Not this one either. What about this one? Yeah, this one. Oh yeah. Much more better. Where's our physical master going? A little bit low. I mean, for a landscape is okay. The Sorrow Well, the Sorrow Well. Have I been there already with a different name and that's what I don't remember it? Is that the rock where Atta found Gollum maybe? Ah, no. We would have come through this path. A hidden cache. Oh, finally, at long last, at least we got one. So, treasure seeker of the Vales. Even if we only got gemstones. How many of these are there? 18. Oh, jeez. To your surprise, Radagast stands outside the Sorrow Well. Radagast glances at the totem and then turns his attention back to the cavern. Ah, I did not expect to see you so soon, Beriathan. I thought I might find you among the woodmen of Hultvís, but instead you have found me. What errand brings you to this place? You explained that a woodman named Atta was haunted by a creature called Úbil the Snatcher in his youth. You also explained that he has been fearful of leaving Hultvís for many years because he presumes that the creature still lives. Radagast sighs. Yes, that name is known to me. It is the name the woodman gave to Gollum. You supposed as much, did you not? I had hoped he was forgotten to them. After I heard the tales of the woodmen, I grew suspicious, and as I feared, I found Gollum in Avabárg. He did not look as he did when you chanced upon him not long ago, but it was him. Perhaps, if I had better understood the tales of the woodmen, I would have realized how he came to sneak into their villages without being seen. The ring was far from my first suspicion, and it now seems foolish to think it might have been anything else. Even so, I placed warding spells upon Avabárg and Gollum was forced to abandon it. He fled under the mountains and I thought he would not trouble the woodmen again. Gollum must have returned to the Vales after the ring was lost to him, but I heard that he was soon driven out by Beorn and his kin. Alas, not soon enough. In that time, I believe this cavern became Gollum's home. I have placed a warding spell upon it, but I think it will still be many years before the birds and beasts of the Vales will draw near to it again. Perhaps something belonging to the woodmen has been left behind within. But do not remain here long, Beriathan. There is a fowler to this place. There is much to discuss when we meet again, but let us not speak of it now. Okay, the Sorrowwell. Golem's hideout. Do we have enough time to explore it? If it's not a big place, we might. It's too tempting not to. You examine these scattered bones and note the tooth-like marks on them. Huh. You sift through the old filth and debris but find nothing of note. You examine these scattered bones and yeah, the tooth-like marks on them. Torn rags. You search this pile of torn rags but find nothing of note. Ah, page! Great. These small skulls are decayed beyond recognition.
For tidbits tender, still he yearns, with eyes that flare among the ferns, for fool and filly, kid and neat, and most of all, for children sweet.
Yes. In the deepest recesses of the Sorrowwell, you have discovered a small stone trinket in the shape of a bear. The moisture in the cavern has eroded the trinket, but as your finger passes over it, you feel a number of shallow grooves on the back. Flipping it over, you discover the worn outlines of an inscription. After examining it for a time, you are able to make out the old writing carved into the trinket. It reads, "For Amelina. You should return the trinket to Atta." Can we? Well, yeah, you can see the face of the bear in the trinket, but I don't think we can read it. I don't think, yeah. We can do that. But we can, yeah, return the trinket to Atta and hopefully bring him some closure. I'm glad this was, the Sorrowwell is not as big so that we could explore it. But now I also want to check which exactly was the path that would bring you to the Sorrowwell. From the old fort, it seems. A floating scarn deposit. Okay. This is not something that you find every day, so yeah, let's take a picture of it. And alright. Back in the old fort, so let us master in Hultvís and let us at least speak to Atta and deliver the trinket of his sister. Oh well, we're already here, might as well.
What news have you for the Vales?
Did you find anything, Beriathan? You tell Madelgard that you found the remains of a strong box, but that its contents had been plundered. You also mentioned the curious tracks you discovered in Malvang. Alas, I suppose it was a fool's hope to think mere trinkets would survive the burning of Malvang. Although your search did not prove fruitful, you have my thanks. I am curious though, who or what do you think left those little tracks? You suggest that small goblins or a hobbit could have made tracks of that size. A hobbit? One alike in stature to the whole Bloodland. Our tales speak of a time when a great number of the whole Bloodland or whole builders dwelt in tunnels carved into the foothills around the Gladden fields. But that was long ago. Not even one of the whole Bloodland has been sighted for many years, and it is thought about my people that they have left the Vales never to return. Even if they had, who would believe me? Madelgard twice fool, they will call me. You are kind to indulge such questions, Beriathan, but do not let me keep you from your adventures. It is no wonder such tales are told of your deeds, Beriathan. You've done more than enough to help us. Leave what you have gathered and I'll see that it gets to the chieftain. Alright, no more quests. So yes, glad that she decided not to pursue the whole Bloodland. They want to remain hidden for a reason, so let's keep it that way, at least here in the Vales. You did not tell me you were a friend to the wizard, Beriathan. Radagast told me he had come to Hultvís on your behalf, and he knew at once that I was the man he sought. He spoke to me of your adventures together in distant lands, but he also told me what became of the Snatcher, Golem, a whole Bloodland once called Smeagol. I learned it was Radagast himself who drove Smeagol from Avabárg, but the creature escaped into the wilds and fled under the mountains for many years. When his power to walk unseen was stolen from him, he returned to the Vales, and that was when he stalked Hultvís once again. Not long after Beriathan saved me, his kinsfolk drove the creature from the Vales, and Smeagol was too fearful of their wrath to return. Radagast said what was taken from him gnawed him greater than any hunger, and that he spent the rest of his days in pursuit of what was stolen from him. A simple trinket, Radagast said. Although at first I questioned his wisdom and how he could have come to know such things, I came to believe his words. Radagast is a wizard after all. He still has done much to ease my mind, but I am sorry to have sent you on an unnecessary errand all the same. I am even more sorry that I did not trust your words, but you must understand what I have endured. What a sorry creature Smeagol became. He has my pity, but he is undeserving of forgiveness. If he had not perished in flames, Atta suddenly glances at the stone trinket you hold, but what is that you have there, Beriathan? You hand Amelina's trinket to Atta. In disbelief, Atta examines the trinket and runs his finger along the old inscription. Atta clutches the trinket to his chest and begins to weep. Amelina, my dear sister, she was taken so long ago, but after all this time, part of her still lives. I will carry her memory with me always, Beriathan. Do not worry for me, Beriathan. You find a wizard, and I will set out to thank Grimbeorn for his father's kindness. After all, well, my sister and I will have much traveling to do. I am old in my years, but there is time for me yet. Yeah, that was so... feels so good for Atta, that's what I'm trying to say, yeah, so heartfelt. And Radagast, of course, is up top. Oh, jeez. It would feel anticlimactic, I mean, just leaving the very last step of this quest line unfinished after all we've done today. I mean, we've already taken some time, so might as well bite a bullet, finish this before we move on to the other quests in the Vales. Not in that Rickmar, Radagast seems to have been expecting your arrival. Well, I thought I might find you here, Beriathan, and I had time enough to tend another matter while I awaited your arrival. Although I spared old Atta many of its chapters, the tale of Smeagol seemed to offer him some measure of comfort. The minds of men too often fall prey to fear and despair, and Atta was no different. His childhood was one of great pain and loss, and it shaped him as he grew older. Indeed, until this very day, Atta lived his life in fearful vigilance, and he denied himself the chance to travel beyond the Woodsedge. But my friend, I believe Atta has always had a great strength within him. Radagast chuckles to himself. Indeed, he only needed a wizard and a kind-hearted man to show him. Alright, now Radagast is gonna send us to the Gladden Fields, so we can leave that for later, but as you will see here, we have completed a new quest in the Wilderfolk. A new quest chain. Nightmare's End. So on the next one, we'll talk to Radagast, as he will want us to go to the Gladden Fields, and we'll also take that chance to advance the Black Book of Mordor. Until then, it has been all on today's episode of Citadel Guard Adventures, so thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you on the next one. Until then, my friends, stay safe, take care, good luck to you all, and I will see you later.